43. Li Sai's petition against the expulsion of foreigners. Although Qin suffered a defeat at Handan, its strength remained formidable. The following year, 256 BCE, it launched successful attacks against the states of Han and Zhao. Eventually, Qin even extinguished the nominal Eastern Zhou dynasty, bringing an end to the centuries-old Zhou royal lineage. After King Zhaoxiang of Qin passed away, his grandson, King Zhuangxiang, ascended the throne. However, his reign lasted less than 3 years before he too passed away, leaving the kingdom in the hands of his 13-year-old son, Ying Zheng. At that time, the true power in Qin's government rested in the hands of Prime Minister Lu Buwei. Lu Buwei, originally a wealthy merchant from Yangdi, modern-day Yuxian, Henan, rose to power after aiding Zhuangxiang in securing the throne. Once he became prime minister, Lu Buwei emulated the likes of Lord Mengqiang, gathering a vast entourage of retainers, many of whom came from various states. During the Warring States period, numerous schools of thought flourished, with scholars actively writing and debating, an era later known as the 100 Schools of Thought. Though Lu Buwei himself was not a scholar, he assembled his retainers to compile a book titled Lu Shichuanqiu, The Annals of Lu Buwei. Upon its completion, Lu Buwei publicly displayed it on the city gate of Xianyang and issued a proclamation. Anyone who can add or remove even a single character from this book will be rewarded with 1,000 pieces of gold. This bold act further solidified his reputation. As Ying Zheng grew older, an incident in the palace involving a coup implicated Lu Buwei. At the age of 22, Ying Zheng, now fully in power, viewed Lu Buwei as an obstacle and removed him from office. Later, fearing Lu Buwei's lingering influence, Ying Zheng forced him to commit suicide. The order to expel foreigners. With Lu Buwei out of the picture, some nobles and officials in Qin began to advocate for the expulsion of foreigners. They argued that many outsiders had come to Qin with ulterior motives, possibly even as spies for their home states. They urged King Zheng to rid the country of these guest ministers, Keqing. King Zheng accepted their advice and issued an edict of expulsion, Zhu Keling, ordering all officials who were not originally from Qin to leave the state. Among those affected was Li Sai, a scholar from the state of Chu. Li Sai had been a student of the renowned Confucian thinker Xuanzi and had later traveled to Qin, where he was appointed as a guest minister under Lu Buwei. Now, faced with expulsion, Li Sai felt deeply aggrieved. As he was leaving Xianyang, he submitted a petition to the king. In his petition, Li Sai wrote, "In the past, Duke Mu of Qin employed Bailey Shi and Jian Shu, leading Qin to dominance. Duke Xiao appointed Shong Yang, who implemented reforms that strengthened the state. King Huiwen relied on Zhong Yi to dismantle the alliances of the 6 states. King Zhaoxiang had Fan Zhu, who elevated Qin's prestige. These 4 rulers all achieved great success by employing foreign talent. Yet now, Your Majesty seeks to drive out these talented individuals. Is this not simply strengthening Qin's enemies?" King Zheng found Li Sai's argument compelling. He immediately sent envoys to bring Li Sai back, reinstated his position, and revoked the expulsion order. Li Sai and the fall of Han Fei. After retaining Li Sai as an advisor, King Zheng intensified his military expansion and simultaneously deployed envoys to the other states to engage in diplomatic maneuvers. These efforts included espionage, bribery, and psychological warfare, complementing Qin's military campaigns. Seeing Qin's growing dominance, King An of Han became alarmed. In an effort to secure Han's survival, he sent his royal envoy, Prince Han Fei, to Qin to negotiate peace and express Han's willingness to submit as a vassal state. Han Fei, like Li Sai, had been a student of Xuanzi. However, while in Han, he had watched his homeland decline and had repeatedly advised the king on ways to strengthen the state. Unfortunately, his proposals were ignored. Frustrated, Han Fei turned to writing instead. His works, compiled as Han Feizi, emphasized centralized power and strict legalism. When King Zheng read Han Fei's writings, he was deeply impressed, exclaiming, "If only I could meet this man in person." Thus, when Han Fei arrived in Qin, he presented a petition offering his services to aid in unifying China under Qin's rule. However, before King Zheng could decide on his appointment, Li Sai grew anxious. Fearing that Han Fei's presence would threaten his own position, Li Sai warned King Zheng. Han Fei is a royal prince of Han. While your majesty seeks to conquer all states, he will undoubtedly remain loyal to his homeland. If he is allowed to return, he could become a serious threat. It would be wiser to find a reason to eliminate him now. King Zheng hesitated but ultimately agreed to have Han Fei imprisoned under false charges, pending further investigation. Trapped in prison, Han Fei had no chance to defend himself. Before he could even appeal to the king, Li Sai sent him a vial of poison, forcing him to take his own life. Later, King Zheng regretted his decision and ordered Han Fei's release, but it was too late. Han Fei was already dead. The king was deeply remorseful. The rise of Wei Liao. Amidst these events, a man from Wei named Wei Liao arrived in Qin. After a discussion with King Zheng, the ruler was so impressed by his wisdom that he appointed Wei Liao as a senior military strategist. From then on, Wei Liao played a key role in Qin's conquests, earning the title General Wei Liao Jiangjun. With Li Sai and Wei Liao advising him, King Zheng continued his relentless campaign of conquest, steadily advancing toward his ultimate goal, the unification of China under the Qin dynasty. 44. Jing Ku's assassination attempt on the King of Qin. King Zheng of Qin, with the support of General Wei Liao, was determined to unify China. He relentlessly attacked neighboring states, successfully dissolving the alliance between Yang and Zhao, and capturing several Yang cities. At the time, Prince Dan of Yang was being held as a political hostage in Qin. Seeing King Zheng's relentless ambition and the loss of Yang's territory, he escaped back to his homeland. Fueled by hatred, he became obsessed with exacting revenge on Qin. However, instead of strengthening his military or forming alliances with other states, he pinned Yang's fate on a single assassination attempt. Prince Dan sold all his possessions to search for a capable assassin who could kill King Zheng. Eventually, he found a highly skilled warrior named Jing Ku. He treated Jing Ku as an honored guest, offering him his own horses, meals, and clothing. Moved by such generosity, Jing Ku vowed his loyalty to Prince Dan. The plan to assassinate King Zheng. In 230 BCE, Qin conquered the state of Han. 2 years later, General Wang Jian captured Handan, the capital of Zhao, and continued advancing north toward Yang. Terrified by the Qin army's rapid progress, Prince Dan sought out Jing Ku and said, "Using military force against Qin is like smashing an egg against a rock. Forming a grand alliance of states seems impossible. My only hope is to send an assassin disguised as an envoy to meet King Zheng. If he agrees to return the lands he seized, that would be ideal. If not, we must kill him. Do you think this plan will work?" Jing Ku nodded but advised, "It will work, but getting close to King Zheng will require convincing him of our sincerity. I have heard that the King of Qin greatly desires Yang's most fertile region, Jukong, modern Zhuoxian, Hebei. Additionally, General Fan Yuqi, who defected to Yang, is one of Qin's most wanted fugitives. The King of Qin has placed a bounty on his head. If I bring Fan Yuqi's head along with a map of Jukong, he will surely grant me an audience. Once I am close to him, I will strike." Prince Dan hesitated. It is easy to obtain a map of Jukong, but Fan Yuqi sought refuge in Yang after fleeing Qin's persecution. How could I possibly betray him? Seeing the prince's reluctance, Jing Ku secretly visited Fan Yuqi and said, "I have a plan that will both eliminate Qin's threat to Yang and allow you to take your revenge. However, I hesitate to say it." Fan Yuqi urged him, "Tell me, what is your plan?" Jing Ku explained, "My concern is gaining an audience with King Zheng. Right now, he is offering a great reward for your head. If I present it to him, he will surely meet with me." Without hesitation, Fan Yuqi drew his sword and slit his own throat, saying, "Take it." Prince Dan had also prepared a razor-sharp dagger coated with deadly poison. Even a single drop of blood drawn by this dagger would result in instant death. He handed this weapon to Jing Ku for the assassination and assigned a 13-year-old warrior, Qin Wuyang, to accompany him as an assistant. The journey to Xianyang. In 227 BCE, Jing Ku departed for Xianyang, the Qin capital. Prince Dan and a few close retainers, dressed in white mourning clothes and white hats, escorted him to the banks of the Yi River, modern Yixian, Hebei. Before leaving, Jingku sang a solemn farewell song. The wind howls, the Yi River is cold. The valiant warrior sets forth, never to return. Moved by his tragic words, the onlookers wept bitterly. Without looking back, Jingku boarded his carriage with Qin Huiyang and set off. The assassination attempt. Upon arriving in Xianyang, King Zheng was pleased to hear that the Yang envoy had brought Fan Yuqi's head and the map of Jukong. He granted an audience in the royal palace. As the ceremony began, Jingku carried a wooden box containing Fan Yuqi's head, while Qin Huiyang held the map of Jukong. Step by step, they ascended the court stairs. However, upon seeing the grand and imposing Qin palace, Qin Huiyang trembled with fear. The guards immediately shouted, "Why does the envoy's face look so pale?" Jingku turned back and saw that Qin Huiyang's face was deathly white. Smiling, he reassured King Zheng. "My assistant is from the countryside and has never seen your Majesty's divine presence before. Please forgive his nervousness." Despite this, King Zheng grew suspicious and commanded, "Let Jingku take the map himself and come forward alone." Jingku took the map from Qin Huiyang, carried the wooden box forward, and presented it to King Zheng. Upon opening the box, King Zheng confirmed that Fan Yuqi's head was inside. He then reached for the map. Jingku slowly unrolled it. As the map fully unfurled, the hidden dagger inside was suddenly exposed. Chaos in the Qin court. Seeing the dagger, King Zheng immediately jumped back in shock. Jingku seized the dagger, grabbed King Zheng's sleeve with his left hand, and lunged forward with his right hand, aiming straight for the king's chest. King Zheng twisted violently, tearing his sleeve and breaking free. He leaped over a nearby screen and attempted to escape. Jingku pursued him, dagger in hand. Seeing that escape was impossible, King Zheng ran in circles around a massive bronze pillar, with Jingku close behind. The two men chased each other like a revolving lantern, spinning around the court. Although many officials were present, they were unarmed. The armed guards stationed below the platform were forbidden from entering without the king's command. Everyone was in a state of panic, unable to act. In a moment of desperation, a royal physician grabbed his medicine bag and hurled it at Jingku. Jingku instinctively swatted the bag aside. At that moment, King Zheng saw his chance. He lunged forward, drew his sword, and slashed at Jingku's left leg, severing it. Jingku collapsed. Knowing he had failed, he threw the poisoned dagger at King Zheng, but the king dodged just in time. The dagger clanged against the bronze pillar, sending sparks flying. Seeing that Jingku was now weaponless, King Zheng advanced and struck him multiple times with his sword. Jingku, bleeding from 8 wounds, smiled bitterly and gasped, "I should have killed you first instead of trying to make you return Yang's land." By this time, the palace guards had rushed in, and Jingku was executed on the spot. Below the steps, Qin Huiyang had already been slain by the guards. Aftermath. Jingku's assassination attempt failed, and Yang paid the price. Enraged, King Zheng mobilized his army and launched a full-scale invasion of Yang. In 226 BCE, Qin forces captured the Yang capital, Ji, modern Beijing. Prince Dan, fearing King Zheng's wrath, fled to Liaodong, modern-day Liaoning. However, Qin troops pursued him, and in a desperate attempt to appease Qin, the king of Yang executed his own son and sent his head to Qin. Despite this, Yang was still eventually destroyed, and Qin moved one step closer to unifying China. 45. The Qin king conquers the 6 states. After executing Jingku, King Zheng of Qin immediately ordered his top general, Wang Jian, to intensify the attack on Yang. Prince Dan of Yang led his troops in resistance, but they were no match for the Qin army, which quickly overwhelmed them. Seeing their forces shattered, King Shi of Yang and Prince Dan fled to Liaodong, modern-day Liaoning province. However, King Zheng pursued them relentlessly, vowing not to stop until Prince Dan was captured. With no other choice, King Shi of Yang executed his own son, Prince Dan, as an offering of apology to Qin. Despite this, Qin continued its relentless campaign of conquest. Strategizing the next target. King Zheng consulted his military strategist, Wei Liao, on the next course of action. Wei Liao advised, "Han has already been annexed, and Zhao only has one remaining stronghold in Dai, modern-day Yu County, Hebei. The Yang king has fled to Liaodong, so they will soon fall as well. The northern states are nearly destroyed. Since it is now winter, we should first focus on conquering the southern states of Wei and Chu. King Jing agreed and ordered Wang Jian's son, Wang Ben, to lead 100,000 troops to invade Wei. The king of Wei, King Jiao, desperately sent envoys to Qi, pleading for assistance. However, King Jian of Qi ignored him. In 225 BCE, Wang Ben successfully annihilated the state of Wei, capturing King Jiao and his ministers, and escorting them to Xianyang. The costly mistake, underestimating Chu. Next, King Zheng turned his attention to Chu, but he first sought the opinions of his generals on the troop size needed for the invasion. He asked the young and ambitious General Li Xin, "How many troops will it take to conquer Chu?" Li Xin confidently replied, "No more than 200,000. Then, King Zheng turned to the seasoned veteran General Wang Jian, who cautiously stated, "Chu is a vast and populous state. 200,000 will not be enough. In my estimation, we will need at least 600,000 troops." Unimpressed, King Jing frowned and said, "Wang Jian is old and overly cautious. I believe General Li Xin's estimate is more accurate." Thus, he rejected Wang Jian's advice and placed Li Xin in command of 200,000 troops to invade Chu. Seeing that his counsel had been ignored, Wang Jian resigned from his position, claiming illness, and returned to his hometown. As Wang Jian had predicted, Li Xin's invasion ended in disaster. The Chu army, led by the seasoned General Xiong Yang, fiercely counterattacked, dealing a devastating blow to the Qin forces. Qin suffered massive casualties, losing countless soldiers, including 7 senior generals. Li Xin had no choice but to retreat in humiliation. Wang Jian's masterstroke. Enraged by the failure, King Zheng dismissed Li Xin from command and personally traveled to Wang Jian's hometown, humbly requesting his return. King Zheng admitted, "I was wrong not to listen to you. Li Xin has failed me. Now, I must ask you to lead our forces." Wang Jian agreed but insisted, "If I am to lead the attack, I still need 600,000 troops. Chu is vast and well defended. They could easily mobilize 1 million soldiers. Even with 600,000 men, I fear it may not be enough. Any fewer, and I will not proceed." This time, King Jing listened, approving 600,000 troops for Wang Jian's campaign. He personally saw the general off at Bashong, hosting a farewell banquet in his honor. With his massive army, Wang Jian marched toward Chu. Unlike Li Xin, Wang Jian did not immediately engage in battle. Instead, he ordered his soldiers to construct strong fortifications and remain defensive. Xiong Yang repeatedly challenged the Qin army to battle, but Wang Jian refused to respond. After some time, Xiong Yang grew complacent, believing that Wang Jian had come merely to occupy territory rather than attack. Seizing the opportunity, Wang Jian launched a sudden and ferocious assault. The 600,000-strong Qin army charged forward like a tidal wave, catching the Chu forces completely off guard. The Chu soldiers, disoriented and unprepared, suffered catastrophic losses. As they scattered in panic, Wang Jian pressed the advantage, capturing large portions of Chu's territory. The Qin army eventually reached Shouchuan, modern-day Shou County, Anhui, and captured the Chu king, Fu Chu. Upon hearing that his king had been taken, Xiong Yang retreated across the Yangtze River, hoping to continue the fight. However, Wang Jian, anticipating this move, constructed warships and trained his troops in naval combat. The Qin army crossed the river and pursued Xiong Yang. Realizing that all hope was lost, Xiong Yang sighed in despair, drew his sword, and took his own life. Thus, the once mighty state of Chu was no more. Final conquests: Yang and Qi fall. With Chu eliminated, Wang Jian returned to Xianyang, leaving his son Wang Ben to continue the campaigns. Wang Ben turned northward and marched against Yang, which was already weak and in disarray. By 222 BCE, Yang fell completely to Qin, and Wang Ben also captured Zhao's last stronghold in Dai. With only one state remaining, Qi stood alone. By this point, Qi's ministers had already been heavily bribed by Qin, and King Jian of Qi had long avoided conflict with Qin. Whenever other states had sought his aid, he had refused, thinking that as long as he remained obedient to Qin, his kingdom would be safe. However, once the other 5 states were conquered, King Jian finally panicked. He hurriedly mobilized troops to defend Qin's western borders, but it was too late. In 221 BCE, Wang Ben led hundreds of thousands of Qin troops, sweeping southward from Yang and crushing Qin's defenses. Realizing that Qi was completely isolated, King Jian saw no path to survival. With no allies left, he surrendered without resistance. Thus, Qi fell, and the last remaining independent state was gone. The birth of a unified China. The 6 states had never united, each seeking only to preserve its own power. Instead of resisting Qin together, they attacked each other, hoping to gain land from their neighbors to compensate for their own losses. This short-sighted strategy gave Qin the perfect opportunity to defeat them one by one. By political, economic, and military standards, Qin was far superior to the other states. More importantly, Qin's conquest aligned with the historical trend toward unification. Thus, in less than a decade, King Zheng eliminated all 6 rival states, ending the warring states period. After 250 years of war and division, China was finally unified in 221 BCE under the rule of King Zheng of Qin. He declared himself Shi Huangdi, the first emperor, founding the Qin dynasty, the first centralized, multi-ethnic feudal empire in Chinese history.